There we go. Better. Aloha, everyone. How are you all doing tonight? I'll wait for some of you to show up. Hope you're all doing well. I don't know if Reni's out there. If she is, she'll say first or one. But regardless of that, thank you all for being here this evening. Ghosts of Hawaii, you know who. Originally, I was going to call this Ghost Stories During a Hurricane. But as reality can dictate in these situations, the hurricane that was supposed to go towards the island that I'm on and on Kauai, all the entire island chain, we were lucky. We dodged the hurricane. So lucky us. Lena, good to see you. Thank you for being here. And everyone else that's watching right now. So yeah, we dodged the bullet. We got away from the hurricane, of which I'm grateful and Alan is not, apparently. Yeah, I kept running all these scenarios in my head, because I've been through two hurricanes myself. And when they're bad, they're really, really ugly. More so than what you see in the news. If you haven't experienced a hurricane or any type of intense weather pattern, you're a very lucky person. Trust me, you are. But I was getting ready. I mean, everything. Boom. I had my roommate. Well, she was kind enough to go ahead and make something to eat, and so she did. She made some great food and everything. Yeah, I know it's hot and muggy now. Matter of fact, I wish I had my aircon on, but that's okay. I have this fan that's running in the background. Hopefully, it's not making too much noise for everybody. But yeah, so the hurricane is going away. Uh, for those of you that do follow this particular YouTube channel, you saw how there was the build up to the storm coming towards the Hawaiian Islands and everything. And we did two live streams from Morgan's Corner, which I enjoyed. Oh, you closed shop early. Okay. Well, I mean, that's the thing too with these hurricanes. At least, no damage and everything, right? So, but I was kind of like, when I was going to do this ghost stories that I'm going to be talking with you folks about, I was kind of like in my mind's eye. Hey, Carla, good to see you. Thank you for joining this evening. Hi, Joyce. Oh, you were on Kauai back in '82 when Eva hit. Oh, wow. I mean, that was, the last couple of times hurricane came towards the Hawaiian Islands. Unfortunately, Kauai got slammed. I mean, we got hit too, but Kauai, God bless, they got slammed. But anyway, I was imagining in the background while telling you ghost stories that, there'd be like thunder and lightning and everything. I wanted the whole ambiance, you know what I'm saying? Well, I believe, Alan. I absolutely believe that. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that, Carla. Carla, I really appreciate that. Yeah, if you like the stories, if you like the channel, yeah, if you don't mind smashing the like button, that's fine. If you don't, then that's okay as well. But yes, tonight we will be doing stories. These are stories that either happened to me or were shared by family members. You know what, Jason? You're probably right. It's been a long, long time since we've had a hurricane here. I gotta tell you something before we jump into the stories, okay? So last night I did the live stream with you folks. It was a rather long live stream. And it was interesting because at first it was really scary with the spirit box and everything. And then I guess to break the tension, we really did break the tension. And then after that, we went up to another location. I did show everybody Melissa. So people got to see Melissa Zed. It is so good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. So everybody got to meet Melissa, the haunted doll, and we chatted. And then we started talking about food and everything. That was interesting. So, but afterwards, when I kept running the live stream all the way through to like my battery was dying on my camera. I was like, oh dang, I can't do any more right now. So turned it off and everything, and I went to sit down with my friends that had come out that night. And I gotta admit, there was some really strange stuff happening up at the other location that we went to after we went to Morgan's Corner. There definitely was voices. There's definitely was. At one point, you could hear like footsteps, really big footsteps. That was rather scary. Pokey, my brother, so good to see you, my friend. Everybody going over to Pokey's channel. Great content as well. Pokey has worked in the field here in Hawaii too. There is bus tomorrow. There is, Alan, just to let you know. So yeah, there was stuff going on, and that was the whole idea again of what people believe here in Hawaii when you start telling ghost stories and such. Stuff started to happen, and at one point, um, people's attention was drawn down the road where there was this flashing traffic light. It's actually a marker for a famous landmark, and my attention got drawn to it. Another friend, their attention got drawn to it, and they were like seeing shadows in the flashing yellow light, and then it just became like really really scary because the wind really started to pick up. You know what I'm saying? The wind just picked up, but it wasn't where we were at. It's like the wind was around us. You could hear wind, but where we were at, and there's like a lot of old trees and everything there too, and they make a lot of noises. If you saw the Morgan's Corner ghost story session that I did, you can hear those trees. They're really really old, right? No wind where we were at. No wind at all, but you could hear the wind. And it was really strong wind, and I don't think we had that, much of a powerful surge in like our wind last night, but you could hear the wind blowing, and in the wind you could hear voices. That was a bit creepy, to tell you the truth. And again, when you go to haunted places, the unexpected is perhaps the norm, right? It's normal to go through all these things. So yeah, that was kind of like it. After that, some of the people left. I hung out a little bit longer with Lord Jubu. We hung out and we were like talking about the night and everything else, and we kind of like wound everything up and just boom, I went back home. Pretty happy because that project is done and over with. On to new things as well. Hi, Moggy. Nice to see you. Good to see you. So tonight, folks, we are going to be doing some ghost stories. And again, thank you for being here this evening. I have a few that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. Again, these are either stories that was shared to me by family members with experiences they had with ghosts. And one in particular is an experience that I had. So let's go into it. This first story I was talking to a family member about today, and I had to get the details just right because it was an incredible experience that I wasn't there to witness. And it didn't really, there's like, the local Hawaii connection because it had to do with my family living on the mainland. Two of these stories are like that. They lived here, but they went to the mainland for a while. Boogie, good to see you. Good to see that everything's okay on the Big Island. Augie, Ozzy, thank you for stopping by as well. Really appreciate you folks being here tonight. So two of the stories have a Hawaii connection, right? Just people living on the mainland and such. So the first story I have here is called The Phone Call. This happened, oh geez, about 16, 18 years ago. I was actually on the mainland visiting for several months. And so I had to kind of like go out and get a job because I was going to be there for a while. So I did. I went out and got a job along with my sister's boyfriend. Thank you. I appreciate that, Boogie. Thank you so much. Oh, Ozzy, we can talk about that too in just a little bit. So anyway, I had to earn my keep because I was, away from home. So I got a job with my sister's boyfriend, and we used to work very long hours. Um, like from the afternoon, like we would start, and then we would work like all the way to like 4 o'clock in the morning. And you know how the mainland is. If you work quite a distance away, you still got to drive. And it was a very interesting experience because, for one, I never saw fog before, and I saw fog when I was up there. As a matter of fact, we're driving through the fog. You get that, for me at least, that scary feeling like what's in the fog. Could there be something like unexpected happening with that? But anyway, that's besides the point. So we're at work, and my sister's at home with my girlfriend at the time, and there's only two of them, both of them at home alone. And my girlfriend was in the shower, and my sister was just quietly going about doing things in her room. And that's the scary thing about ghosts. I gotta say right now, is when they do something big, they do something big. When they want to scare you, they'll find a way to scare you. Ghosts are very good at this. So the house was very quiet, of course. And then all of a sudden, every single door in the house sounded like there were multiple hands just banging on it, like boom, 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 over and over and over and over again, just really loud banging on all of the doors in the house. My sister gets very, very scared, and so she gets up and she goes to look outside. I mean, into the living room. She went from her room and went down the hallway out into the living room. Uh, my girlfriend at the time came as well, and they wanted to know what was going on. They were frightened, absolutely frightened. Going on late in the evening and such. And so my girlfriend looks through the peephole at the front door, and she's looking through it. There's like obviously there's nobody there. I don't think anyone would be pounding would be out in the front. Besides, all the doors were just sounding like there was knocking going on. Classic sound of a spirit, right? Knocking is what you hear. And there's Lord Jubal. Lord Jubal, good to see you tonight, and thank you for being here, and also for the last two nights, my friend. So classic sound of a spirit, right? Knocking and everything. So when they came out into the living room, of course, all of that stopped at once. Boom. They looked through the peephole. There's nothing there on the other side out in the evening. Outside there was nothing there. So, nonetheless, though, my sister was very concerned about that because it's totally unexplainable why that would happen. So she gets on the phone and she calls the police. And she also calls my family members, my dad and my brother, to come down. So my dad and my brother, they come down, they check the house out, they scope it out, nothing really to find in the house or around the house or anything else like that. And they kind of like move off to the side and let everything else take place. So what happens is my sister gets on the phone and calls my other sister that lives nearby. And they're talking on the phone, and they're talking about what happened. And all of a sudden, the police showed up. So my sister tells my other sister, "Okay, you know what? Give me a moment. I got to go talk to the police officers about what happened." So she puts the phone down on the bed. She goes to talk with the police officers, and my other sister is waiting on the phone. And of course, you have to kind of like tell them all what happened, maybe even file a police report. So it takes a while, right, to talk to the officers. And then my sister, after the police leave and they file a report or have that conversation, she goes back into her room. She picks up the phone to talk with my sister, my other sister, and my other sister on the other end of the line that was waiting patiently for my other sister to come back and talk to her. She says, "Don't you ever, ever do that again." And my sister goes, "Do what? I just went to go talk to the police officers." And my other sister goes, "No, you don't ever, ever leave me on hold ever again like that." And she's like, why? What happened? And my other sister goes, who's who's Chucky or Charles? Something like, who's Charlie? Who's Chucky? Who is that? Who was in the house with you? And my other sister goes, hey, there's nobody in the house. It's just me and, of course, my girlfriend at the time. Two people in the house. Nobody else was there. So my sister, who's very upset, goes, well, whoever Chucky or Charles is, was carrying on a conversation with me the whole time that you were gone. So my sister was, of course, my other sister is like freaked out. There's been, knocking on all the doors and everything. And so she called it a night. That was it for her. But not long after that, and of course, well, my sister described the voice on the phone, this guy Chucky, as a, pretty much a younger guy, right? So my sister is in her room. This is after the phone call and everything. It's like a couple of days later. And she's in the bedroom with her boyfriend, and they're talking. And they look out the door. One of the things I don't like about hallways and doors, I don't know if you ever had that feeling as well with hallways and doors. But when you look out the door and you see a hallway, I always have that thought every once in a while that someone's gonna walk down that hallway past your door, and it's not gonna be somebody that you know. It's not somebody that you know. So anyway, they're looking out into the hallway, and all of a sudden, they see this young guy show up, and he's walking through the hallway, and all of a sudden, he just walks into a wall, and he vanishes. You had the same feeling too, huh, Boogie? I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one with that then. So anyway, yeah, they were both startled. My sister puts everything in her head. The pounding on all of the doors, um, having to calling up my sister, putting the phone down. My other sister putting the phone down. Someone's talking to my sister on the phone. She don't know who the heck that is. My other sister don't know who that is. Here's this guy walking through the hallway, goes right into the wall. And what's really, really amazing about this, and I've only heard about this a few times in all the years that I've been doing the paranormal. Only a few times have I heard about this. So it was another night with my sister and her boyfriend, and they're in their bedroom, and they're laying down. And all of a sudden, they look up as the ceiling above them opens up. And from the ceiling, all these orbs came out and just started swirling around the room. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. That's a portal. A portal opened up on the ceiling above them, and all these orbs came out and started flying around the room. She kind of described it as a scene in Poltergeist when they open up this door and all this spirit energy comes out. It was just like that. That's what she described. And apparently, she lived in a place that might have been a ley line. This is where all these spiritual um, energies, these lines of energy that go on throughout the world. They just kind of like have a crisscross pattern and different types of patterns as well from the ones I've been looking at. They kind of like these ley lines. They converge, and where they converge and they come together and they meet, these are where portals are made. And apparently that's what it was. That place that she lived in probably was a ley line. And it created a portal, and they happened to see that portal. And perhaps Charles, or whoever his name was, this ghost that had showed up, was one of the spirits that come through every now and then and go roaming around in that area. Thankfully, though, I never experienced that myself. Boogie says, Obaki Hunter, I met a very loving and positive sister on YouTube. She's fascinated by our Hawaiian ghost stories. Would you be available to join her panel sometime? I'm too shy. LOL. Oh, sure, not a problem. Just let me know. Give me some contact info, and I'll do that. Flamingo, hi. How are you doing? Good to see you as well. Flamingo says, I went to Iolani Palace at night. I think I saw a guard at the entrance to the palace, the royal guards. Oh, I've been there several times myself. As a matter of fact, yes, last night we were out with Faye. You guys remember Faye that comes out with us? And she has a video of Iolani Palace. I swear, in her FLIR camera, it looks like the queen looking through the window. So, yeah, that was a crazy story. This next one that I'm gonna tell you. Oh boy. When I first heard it, I was stunned. And the reason why I was stunned is because it was so scary. It was so scary. Hi, Jason. Yeah, go to Faye KO and look up Faye KO, and it's on her YouTube channel if you want to see that video. Let's see. My Ozzy said, my last two comments is what I believe was my paranormal experience that I had today. Okay, Ozzy, that's all great. For all of these things that you folks want to talk about, let's kind of save it for the end because it's kind of hard for me to read and I mean tell a story and read what you're saying. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. That's great. But if you want to share it at the end after I'm done with the stories, when we kind of like have our discussion part, yeah, feel free to do that. So if you don't mind, that is. That's okay, Ozzy. It's okay. But I mean, I just like to let people know that every time I do a live stream or just a general rule of thumb, so that the flow isn't interrupted in any way at all. Only Pilikia, no problem. So this next story is called The Visitor. My mother went to the mainland to visit her sister up in Washington State. And she would do this from time to time just because a lot of our family on my mother's side, they live, different parts of the United States, and my mom's sister lived in Washington State. And so um, she went to go visit one year. And it was, like a typical visit. Everybody gets together, right? Everybody is happy to see each other, and everyone's talking about catching up on things, like what was going on in their lives and everything. And, but this one particular trip, they were sitting out in the back of the house. And I've been there. I've been to this place, my auntie's house on the mainland in Washington State. Beautiful big yard, beautiful big wide open lawn with pine trees, incredible, beautiful looking place. But off in the distance was, a railroad track. And that's one of the things I miss about being on the mainland and visiting is late at night, you'd be in your home and in the distance you could hear like the train going by. It's a wonderful, calm, soothing type of experience to hear that sound. Of course, you don't hear that in Hawaii. We had trains in the old days, but not anymore for sugarcane and stuff. So she's looking at this train tracks, and my auntie's daughter comes up to my mom, and they're talking. And in the course of the conversation, my auntie's daughter tells my mom, "Oh, that railroad track you see over there, that has a spirit attached to it." And my mom was like, "Well, really? I mean, what happened with that story? Do they know what happened? Why is there a ghost at the railroad track?" And from what I heard, that she's pretty much there a lot. This spirit, this woman. So my auntie's daughter says to my mom, "Well, she got hit by a train. Nobody knows why, but she died instantly. Train hit her. That's it." So anyway, my mom was like, kind of spooked out. I mean, you're looking at this railroad track off in the distance, right? And you're being told this story about this woman that got hit by a train. But my mom kind of like afterwards takes it in stride. You have a conversation, you go back to what you're doing. Everybody goes about their business, or they go out as a family and do things, right? So on one particular night on that visit, my auntie and her family decide to go out and do something, and my mom was like, "No, you know what? I'll stay at home." And so there was this cute little dog that my auntie had, and so my mom wasn't alone, right? Because she has the dog. So they go into their room and they're just relaxing. And of course, isn't this always the case? You're doing your business, everything's quiet, right? Like in the last story, everything's okay. And then all of a sudden, my mom starts to hear like boom, like a footstep, like a single footstep. And she kind of like pauses what she's doing. I think she was knitting. She was knitting that night. And the dog, the ears perk up, right? And dog starts to growl a bit, and then you hear like another footstep, poof. And then all of a sudden you hear like the walls are being, again, like someone was just pounding on the walls, and all you hear is like a single footstep, like poomp, pounding, poomp, pounding, poomp, pounding. And it kept going on and on and on and on. And I guess the hallway was pretty long. And so my mother had this rosary on her, and the pounding's getting louder, and that single footstep is coming closer and closer to their bedroom door, right? Thankfully, the door was closed. And my mom picks up the rosary and she starts praying for help. And just when, I mean, you could feel like that presence was on the other side of the door. And anyone that's been in a haunted house, or if you've been around spirits, you know what this feeling is like. It's very hard to say that it's anything else but that. And if I'm not mistaken, when she got hit, and that's naturally the case when you get hit by a train, I believe one of her legs was severed from her body. So it probably explains that one single footstep. Um, but yeah, she prayed, and she really, really prayed, and it stopped. And of course, according to my mom, when she talked to like her family, that had never really ever happened before like that. Whoever this spirit is came from the railroad tracks and came from there into the home, and for some reason, uh, paid my mom a visit that night. And that's the thing too about these ghost stories. There's a very famous one as well. It's called the Monkey's Paw. If you ever want to read a story about ghosts, and how even though you don't see them directly, they affect you, and you actually see things in your head that can possibly be a connection from the spirit, read the Monkey's Paw, and you'll get an idea of what kind of experience that I think my mom had with that particular situation. I got to check up on some other stuff with that story. But that's the story called The Visitor. And yeah, to address your question, um, I don't do spirit boxes in my home. I think that's a very sane and wise choice. It's not sane to use spirit boxes, and I'm thinking of cutting back on that a lot. It's in conflict to my religion and everything else, and I really have to immerse myself in prayer to ask forgiveness for that, because necromancy is in my religion and it's not a good thing. Okay, so on to the next story. You get voices and visions as you sleep. I believe that. I believe that people experience things on a much deeper and much more profound way with spirits, or whatever type of experience that they're going through as you're going into sleep, or the place that is between uh, physically awake and REM in between that one area. I noticed that I've experienced things like I've had visions and stuff as well. So yeah, that's the part that I'm talking about as well. And again, if you're sharing stuff, please feel happy to share amongst each other. But if I don't answer you while you're trying to address a question to me, please don't take it personally. We can have a discussion, which I love to have at the end of these stories. So this next story, wow, I mean, it's called Pupuka, and it was shared with me by my sister who had that experience on the mainland with the pounding on the doors. But she was living here in Hawaii, and she was living out, um, going out towards the North Shore, but not there, near Laie area. I'm not going to be very specific, but going out towards that area, actually past, if you know where Rainbow Falls is and stuff. She was living out in that area, and so she was told when she moved into this old house, she made friends immediately with her neighbors, and they hit it off very, very well. And you talk about the place that you just moved into. You know how neighbors are. It's like, yeah, this place. They tell you about the area that you live in and everything and such. And like I said, they became very good friends. And so one day, the neighbor tells my sister, "Oh yeah, we have to tell you about Pupuka." And so my sister goes, "What is that? What is Pupuka?" And so they go on to explain, well, you might run into Pupuka while living here. So just to let you know, because my son did. My son one night was walking around in the neighborhood when all of a sudden there was this splashing. There's this stream next to these houses, an old mountain stream, and there was like splashing in the water, and then something like came out of the water and started running at um, her neighbor's son, and he got terrified, and he ran the hell home with whatever this thing was that was chasing him. So she goes on to explain more about Pupuka. Pupuka, according to the Hawaiian belief, that before the Hawaiians arrived here in the islands, that there were these spirits. There was this one type of spirit called the ancients, and actually, I've seen firsthand interaction with these spirits as well, and they can be very angry. As a matter of fact, the neighbor that was involved with this story, her husband is a very strong, powerful psychic. So when they had a problem with these ancient spirits, at one point in another scenario, he came down and he described what these ancients were like, and it was very, very spooky and very, very different with what I had imagined it to be. So we're able to get it more or less figured out by that interaction, that psychic vision. But they're terrifying from what the ones that you can encounter. And the Hawaiians, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've talked to a few people that are really into their culture. They said that the Hawaiians did not have very good experiences, for the most part, with the ancients that were there before they arrived. So Pupuka is one of them. That's who Pupuka is. So Pupuka has a way of like, for some reason, Pupuka claimed that whole area, this one ancient spirit, the whole area as his. Very territorial, you could tell. So I'm sorry, Boogie, and whoever is talking. Let's just afterwards, let's do that. Um, so anyway, um, very territorial. As a matter of fact, at night you could hear Pupuka jumping from like one roof to another, just boom, 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 jump, boom, 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 jump. You could hear him moving around, running through the water in the stream, jumping on the roof of the house. As a matter of fact, one particular night, um, they were outside talking, my sister and the neighbor, and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden they heard like something jump into the trees. It was on the roof, and it jumped into the tree, and it started shaking the tree. Um, and apparently it started to scratch the tree. And so they were terrified. Oh, I don't think it's a good night to be out. Pupuka is running around tonight. So there was another story about Pupuka besides doing what he did. And so he has a habit of like also peeking into windows or being outside of your window. And I know probably a lot of you probably agree with me about this. You don't want anything terrifying. We don't even want people outside of our windows. You know what I'm saying? Nobody likes the whole idea of someone being outside of your window. Okay? Nobody likes that at all. So, um, one night, my neighbor and the husband, the one that can see ancient spirits, invited some of his friends over to the house and said, "You know what? I'm going to show you guys something, okay, with what's been going on around here." So what happened is, he and there's Pupuka likes to go and look through this one particular window, and it's a window in the bathroom. It gets kind of hot at night, and there was no screen for the window, so you leave the window open. There's curtains, but I guess he's there, and that's where they've encountered him. So my neighbor brings his friends and says, "Okay, we're gonna go look into the bathroom, okay? Because this is about the time Pupuka shows up." So everybody goes into the bathroom. They peek into the bathroom, and they're looking. And there's the curtain right there. Where Pupuka is on the other side of the window. And all of a sudden, this very, very long fingernail pushes through the divide of the curtain and then starts to push one side of the curtain off to the side so Pupuka could see who was looking at him. And that was enough. That was enough. Everybody kind of like pulled back and it's like, no, 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 no. Let him have his way, and leave him alone. Honestly, you know what I would do after that? I would keep that window closed. I would keep that window closed, man. No, no, no interaction, no nothing like that. And then on another night, because they didn't really get an idea. They kind of wondered, I would wonder, what exactly does Pupuka look like? What does he look like? You see a fingernail, you kind of hear him running around doing his business. He'll chase you, he'll chase after you, or, go after you. Oh, and so one night, the same person, my my sister's neighbor's husband, is looking out the window, hearing noises again from Pupuka. And he looks out the window and he sees, this is what he described. This is Pupuka, okay? This is what Pupuka looks like. It's like this short, muscular looking creature with wings on its back and a very ugly, evil looking face. And so when this person sees Pupuka, this ancient spirit, no, not Aswan, Lord Jubu, not Aswan. When he sees this ancient looking spirit, he just says, "Oh man, you are scary." He just kind of backs up. He's in shock. "Oh, but his eyes are still, looking out the window. And Pupuka kind of like is looking at him and just kind of like turns around and he just walks back to his territory, splashes into the stream, and goes about his business. So, oh my God. Okay, and there's something after this I got to tell you as well. So there's an aftermath. And yes, thank you for joining. Yes, we're not done yet. I still have two more stories to go through. So this is after Pupuka and everything happened. So one day, me And my girlfriend are out there visiting my sister's home, and we're talking. You know, us locals, we love to talk story. That's something that we just love to do. Some of us a little bit too much more waha than others, but we love to talk story. And in the course of the conversation, they kind of told me about what was happening with the place, and then they brought up the incident that I shared with you when Pupuka jumped into the tree and was shaking the tree and was clawing the tree and stuff. So you know what? I was standing at that tree. I kind of like had my hand out, leaning on the tree, and then they go, you know, right over there. That's where Pupuka was, you know, right over there. And so I turned and I looked at the tree, and there was these three claw marks deeply embedded into the tree. Not only were they embedded into the tree, it looked like this spirit, this and ancient spirit, which is what this person who's gifted was able to identify it as being as well. Um, it looked like it burnt the tree, like it scratched the tree, and at the same time, these three claw marks, three again. If you guys know anything about three big claw marks look like it was like burnt into the tree. So with this story that I told you, you know, maybe there's just something there about it because you know, I for myself, I was able to see something when we do the paranormal and we're working in this field. You know, people are out there, they're trying to get any type of evidence as well. They want to illustrate, they want to have a point to make, they want to look at history, they want to connect dots and everything else. But then there are the things that go outside of all of that. You know, I mean, as far as evidence goes, it's almost like, you know, if there's the reality behind Bigfoot and you see that one footprint, that impossibility that's just right there in front of you, or something even more bizarre than that. And I could go on all night about that type of scenarios that take place. But that's the story about Pupuka. And, yeah, it's one of my favorite stories, actually. You know, I just love the story of Pupuka. And because at the same time, as scary as Pupuka is, he also seems to be kind of like a kolohe, as we say in Hawaii. He's like a rascal type of spirit. And so, yeah, so that's Pupuka. I just love that story. Give me a second here, folks. Drinking some water. Hmm. Anyway, on to my next story. One of the big things here in Hawaii, when we talk about why it's such a haunted place, you know, why you're encountering spirits so much, and I've shared this in presentations I've done with the public in the past. And one of the things I always share is the fact that each and every one of our islands is, you know, very heavily connected to its past with the Hawaiian culture and the Hawaiian people. Burials are, like in any culture, is something that's very personal. It's a very personal connection. And so, you know, these places, these islands, they're not really big like the mainland. We're out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, for crying out loud. And there's a lot of burials everywhere, right? So people end up building upon these burial sites. My dad used to do construction, and even he told me that he remembers one particular incident in particular that really he felt was very wrong. And they were like excavating and getting everything ready to, I guess, to lay pipes or something. And they found bones. They found Evie. Hey, just one other gamer. Good to see you. They found Evie. So when that happens, you got to stop everything. You have to stop the entire project that you're working on. You got to bring in the foreman. They have to make phone calls. They have to get a hold of the police. They have to get a hold of you know, places like Bishop Museum to come and look at these bones and to see if they're actually, you know, from the Hawaiian people long time ago when they used to put their graves into different locations. But in this one particular situation, they didn't do that. And from what I heard also, That is not the first time. That there has been other situations as well. There's a place called the Contessa, very haunted location here on the island of Oahu. It's a famous landmark. Aristocat, good to see you. Very famous landmark. And there's a story about that place too, where they did not address what they should do with the bones. Just didn't want to do that. They didn't want to be pono. They didn't want to be good and true. They didn't want to respect the way it should be given. Now, when we go to haunted locations, sure, yeah, definitely. And even more so because there could be burials around there, or just the fact that, like a Judge Trail, you're going to have these terrible tragedies that happen where these people had died, and you just want to be respectful. But I think when respect is taken out of the picture, you're going to have problems. Something, as they say, has got to give. So this story has to do. It's called The Restless Ghosts of Kaneohe. For those of you that are familiar with Kaneohe, it's a very beautiful place on the windward side. Thankfully tonight, that hurricane did not come in, because that's the side of the island, that the windward side, that the hurricane was supposed to go and come ashore, or it was going to be on that side of the island. Thank you, God, nothing happened. Anyway, so there's this one place. I'm not going to name it. If you know it, then okay, you know it. But I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to name the location. But where they decided to build a shopping center. There's a couple of shopping centers out there on the windward side in Kaneohe. But this one place, this piece of property that they wanted to build upon, yeah, there were resting places. No doubt. As a matter of fact, it got to a point where I remember people were like, I used to go by that place, we used to go by that place in the daytime, and you could see, that it was a place where they had laid people to rest. So anyway, they decided to build on that piece of property, to put up this shopping center. And they did. And what they actually ended up doing was they took all of these resting places and they moved it to one particular place. And so they could put the shopping center up. And when I first started going there, I didn't really know, that the place was haunted. I'd go there. It was my favorite place to go to. Is you going shopping malls are great. You go into a shopping mall, all these different stores. You know how it is. The food court and everything. You're not paying attention to the details, right? That need to be paid attention to. But with that said, after a period of time, these spirits that were disturbed in this particular situation wanted to let people know that they shouldn't have done that. Matter of fact, the haunting is so powerful that takes place at this shopping center that it extends next door to a popular eatery. And that place is haunted as well. And actually, when I think about the possibility of what it was like back then, maybe the eatery was also built upon that as well. Yeah, that exactly. So anyway, my brother ended up working there. And I know the one of the first weird things that he told me about in the shopping center, because this is when the shopping center is closed, right? So he was doing maintenance work. And it's very quiet. You don't hear much. It's late at night. And so one of his duties, the things that he had to do, was wipe down the escalator. Make it look nice and shiny for the next day. So he went about his business doing that meticulous task of doing that. And he's wiping down the escalator. He gets to the top when he is done. Hello, Amy. and he looks back. Something tells him to look back, and he looks back at the escalator, and there's all these fingerprints from the very bottom going all the way up. There's like these all of these fingerprints. He just wiped everything down. He was very careful to make sure it was, shiny, looking brand new. And he gets to the top and turns on. There's all these handprints, all these fingerprints all over on the handrails on top of the escalator. And that was odd. That was really, really odd. I've heard stories about this before. Spirits wanting to get your attention doing stuff like that. But it's late at night. I don't know if any of you've worked under those type of situations. I don't know if you've worked in places that are very quiet late at night. That's why I say some of the most interesting stories come from security guards that have to work in these quiet places, where your senses are just so in tune with your environment, right? So there was another time where my brother had to work behind the storefront. There's like these little doors at this shopping center. You open these doors, you go down a hallway, and it goes to the back of all these stores, and you keep supplies and everything back there. So he was back there. He was walking down the. Actually, he had opened the door to walk down the hallway where there was another intersecting hallway in front of him. And you heard about what I said earlier. I believe you said. I trust me. I believe if you're a security guard. As I said earlier, there's something about ghosts and hallways, right? There's just something about them. Man, there is something about ghosts and hallways. I can't even begin to go deeply into all of that for me and such, but he's walking down the main hallway, going to the intersecting hallway, and as he's about halfway down that hallway, he looks at the one in front of him, and like there's this person that just runs, from one side of the hallway to the other side that he can see in front of him, right? And no one's supposed to be in the darn place. No one's supposed to be in there. He knows the people that work there. He knows the security, and he has an idea of the other people that work in the stores, when they're shutting down for the night, when all the energy changes in that place. So my brother kind of like runs down the hallway, and he peeks around the corner where the guy had run. And there was nothing but a freight elevator. I don't know if you know what a freight elevator is. Freight elevators are these huge elevators. They have two doors. Like one is on the top, the door that you can pull down, and one is on the bottom, and you kind of like bring them together in the middle. They're loud. They're very, very loud. And I've been in freight elevators before, like this one. And he goes and he looks, and the damn freight elevator is closed. Nobody had touched the elevator at all. So whoever this guy was ran straight into the freight elevator, even though it was closed. Didn't make a sound at all. Not a whisper, nothing. The other thing that would happen a lot in the mall was, I think I was talking about this in my other live stream, is that they would hear whistles, someone whistling. And they ended up just calling him the Whistler, or her the Whistler. And the guards would be walking around, and they would hear somebody whistle somewhere off in the distance. Of course, the guard has to go and check to see who that person is. Plus, you don't want nobody whistling at all. You don't want any of that kind of stuff going on. So, and then the spirit would just keep doing that, just whistling in another location. And of course, it drives the guards crazy. So that was one of the other things that would happen at the mall. And so the most scariest thing, the incredible thing that happened was my brother, again, who was working maintenance, decided to spend the night over at the mall with a security guard. And they used to drive around these carts. I'm sure you see security guards driving around in their golf carts. So they were in the back of the food court. They parked the security cart, and they're talking. And eventually, my brother's very tired from working all day, and he starts to nod off and fall asleep. And all of a sudden, the security guard that's with him nudges my brother My brother kind of jumps and he's startled, and he gets up and the guard goes, look to your right, look over there. And he's really freaked out. The guard's eyes are just like bulging, taking up maybe 50% of the person's face, and he's pointing to the right, and he's like, look, and that's all he could say is look. So my brother turns to the right and he looks, okay, and there's this store downstairs where the guard was pointing to. Again, well, it's late at night. All the stores are closed, right? And it's dark. The entryway is dark. It's closed. And what my brother told me he saw were like a bunch of people that were walking from the parking lot towards the store and going into the store, of course, without opening the doors. And there were a lot of them. A lot. So too was the burials there. A lot. To me, though, the thing that personally for myself, when I think about this mall being haunted and the spirits that wander around through there, the many spirits, is that every once in a while you'd be on the second floor. You look down, you're looking around. Some people like to people watch, right? Hey, Dave, good to see you, my friend. Some people love to people watch. And you look around and stuff, and all of a sudden, honest, I'm not joking. If you ever been there, if you've been there, then you know what I'm talking about. And the entire floor of that mall, and you feel it on the second floor, lifts up. You feel it like something is below the mall and it's pushing the mall off of its foundation. I felt that. I felt that. It ain't no cars in the parking lot. You ain't got no 18-ton wheeler or whatever the hell you want to call that going through there. And that is my personal connection to saying that, there is something to do with that mall. And those spirits are not at rest. And every once in a while, when you're at this place, you'll see them doing little excavations where they unearth bodies, because they still haven't found all of them yet. And I hope one day that those souls can truly find peace. So that's that story, The Restless Ghosts of Kaneohe. On to my last story. This one is a very personal story for me. In all the years that I've done this, there's been a couple of times that I've been very terrified. I get scared. The one thing I absolutely refuse, and I'll make a connection to this rational thinking. Two things that I shake my head at. One is a person that says, you know what, I drink, I'm a heavy drinker, and I never get a hangover the next day. Well, if that's the case, dude, then you're not human. People get sick. People get hangovers. And I hate that. It's a pet peeve of mine. When people want to consider themselves lofty and pull themselves out of everyone else's misery. We all share that. You drink too much, there's a thing called alcohol poisoning. We're not Superman. So that's one thing I really shake my head at. The other thing I shake my head at is, oh, hi, Lady Nighthawk. Welcome to Ghosts of Hawaii. I'm telling some stories tonight, and you're very welcome to our live streams if you like to come back and listen to them, or anything else that we do in here. Aloha. Good to see you. The other thing I shake my head at, absolutely shake my head at, is the other Superman theory of people saying, you know what, I've never been scared. I go to these places, nah, I don't get scared. Now, nothing like that happens to me. I'm bulletproof with my feelings and everything. BS. Not true. We're all human. We're all, in some ways, we're different in our personalities and such. but we're geared also to respond to certain things. It's just like, when you touch a hot stove, like say you're a kid and you're playing with matches and you burn your finger, your body tells you, oh, don't do that no more. Don't do that. That's wrong. Don't ever do that. It's the same thing with fear. Fear is your spiritual warning system. It's the same thing. We are all spiritually geared that way. There ain't a person walking around planet Earth that can say, you know what, there ain't nothing that's going to scare me. I'm pretty sure under the right sort of circumstances, yeah, you will be scared. I always say you just haven't met the right ghost yet that actually wanted to scare you. But yeah, I get scared. You might even hear it in some of my videos. Oh, what was that noise? It's because I'm honest with that. I'm honest with the situation. I'm honest with my feelings, and I'm honest with the fact that I know that these spirits can easily do something to frighten us. If they want to, that is, if they really want to, they're capable of. So this story is called The Shrine. And this happened many years ago. I'm a avid camper. I love to go camping. Excuse me. And so we found this one campground that we really, really liked. And we would go back there quite often. And when I used to go there back in the day, we used to go with like a group of people, of course. And like we always used to choose our different places to go camping at. And so we like to camp in the front area of the campground. And my friends like to go into the back area of the campground. And so we used to have to go visit them, right? We have to go from where we're at to go to socialize, to hang out, talk story, have a barbecue, whatever you want to do, right? So daytime, not too bad. But there's this really short tree tunnel that connects from one part of the campground to the other side of the campground. Daytime, not a problem. No problem. Walk through. But I gotta tell you this: when you walk into that tree tunnel, it looks pretty darn dark. The trees are tightly interwoven on the top. So not a problem in the daytime. But this is when I should have known there was something wrong with the place. At night, of course, you bring out your flashlights. There's not much lights in this one campground. You turn on your flashlight, and we would have to walk to the tree tunnel. And you get to the tree tunnel, and you're happy you got your flashlights, because now instead of seeing it as being like kind of dark, it's just a wall of black. It's just dark. You look into this tree tunnel, you can't see anything at all. It's just pitch black. So you're going in there with your flashlight, and you go in there, and unfortunately, as you're walking through the tree tunnel, when you get towards the other side, flashlights would go out. It would either be while you're going to the other side of the campground. Sometimes you're lucky, and the flashlight would work going all the way through the tree tunnel. You would go visit your friends and have fun, and then you're on the way back, and it's like, okay, I got to go through the tree tunnel again. And you go in, it's either going one way or the other, your flashlight goes out. Now, here's the interesting part of it, because it happened a few times. Uh, we get back to the tent. After the second time, we kind of see this as the normal, or whatever you would call normal. Open up the flashlight, take out the batteries. You figured, okay, whatever it was, drain the batteries, or something happened with the batteries. Put in new batteries into the flashlight. Flashlight don't work. Flashlight is broken. I've been in situations also when spirits have. It can be expensive working in the paranormal. I've had equipment, get destroyed by spirits. So that was something that, you know, you makes you think, well, there's something going on at this place. It's still a beautiful place. Oh my God, it's can't even begin to go on and on and on and on all the great things about this area. So eventually, though, we had left for a while. We didn't go camping for a while. And so when we came back, we finally wanted to go back to this beautiful place. And when we got back there, that place that we used to go camping at the beginning of the campground, it's no longer available. You can no longer camp there. So we had to camp on the other side of the campground. So that very first day, we took our tents and everything, and we go into that tree tunnel. And as we're walking in, it felt different. I'll tell you that much. Um, Nothing to do with our experiences in the past. It just when you walked in, something was very different. And as you're coming out to the other side of the tree tunnel that connects to that campground where we had to go camp, look to the right, and there was a shrine. It was unlike any shrine I have ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen anything like it at all. It was like these rocks that were made like this half circle, and inside of this half circle, on the right side of the path, were these other rocks that were built at different levels, and there were different types of objects that were on it. One of the objects was hanging from a tree, and it looked like a gourd, like the Hawaiians use for music. It looked like a gourd that had like seashells around it. So it could have actually been one of those instruments. I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I don't know what it's called. And in the middle of it were like these holy candles. Epal, thank you. I'm sorry, off the top of my head, it just slipped my mind. There were these holy candles in the middle of this shrine, you know. But it was very, unique looking, very different. Anyway, we go and we set up our tents. Yeah, we get ready to enjoy our evening camping. Thank you, Lady Nighthawk. I really appreciate your kindness. So we set up the tent, and we get comfortable. Beautiful place again, and that's why we came back because it's so beautiful. It's so gorgeous there. And we're very, very happy. And we're just chilling, we have our dinner. The sun starts to go down. And we're in the tent talking, watching some DVDs, because you have those portable DVD players. And at one point, I had to get up and go and use the bathroom. Okay, so unzip the tent. My girlfriend at the time goes, "Yeah, I gotta go to the restroom too." And they have like these, those little porta potties. That's what they have over there out at the beach. And they're on my left. You have to go down this sandy path to get to the porta potties. So anyway, we get out of the tent. Woohoo! Here comes a part of the story. Oh geez. So we got okay now the tree tunnel is on our right. Okay, so try to imagine that there's this tent up against a tree, and you come out of the tent. On your right, there's a sandy path that goes from the tree tunnel, which is pitch black. The sandy path goes all the way down in front of our tent and goes down to the left to where the bathrooms are. We go to walk on the sandy path, okay? No lie, no mess, nothing but the fearful reality of what occurred next. And as we take our first step onto the sandy path, actually, I think the first two steps or something like that, from the tree tunnel now, from the tree tunnel. Brother, let me tell you, every hair on my body is standing up because the power of memory is that strong. No move. You don't want to turn around. You don't want to do nothing. You're in a moment that you feel is an inescapable conclusion. And all you can do, the only part of your body that works are your eyes, your maka. And our eyes shift to the right. And we see this tunnel that we know that we've had problems with in the past. We've had problems with this tunnel. Finally, after a while, you have no choice but to do something. Bruh, I'm surprised I never go in my pants. You know what I'm saying? So it got really, really quiet. I know there's cats around there. I know across the street, down the road, because this is country, there's some cattle. But there ain't nothing that sound like what I heard. And the sound I just made, it don't even come close. It don't even come close to that sound that I just made. As we start to walk, because you gotta go bathroom, right? You cannot just say I refuse my body functions, which almost happened anyway after I heard that. So very carefully, we started to walk down towards the restroom, and we took a couple more footsteps, and again, I mean, bruh, it's times like that you really got to reconsider everything. Everything. Your set of circumstances, everything. It's late at night. You're camping. We didn't bring a car. Buses have stopped running. You're in the dark. There's something behind you. And I don't know. I don't want to know what it is. We're in the same posture we were earlier. Eventually, you got to finish up what you're going to do. So I went and we used the bathroom. And it's scary because, being a gentleman, of course, I let my girlfriend go first. And I'm standing outside of the restroom, and my eyes are just like everywhere, but they always go back to that tree tunnel. Finally, we both do our business. We go back, and I ended up like snapping two photographs of the area. No, but it was there weren't people that were near us. I snapped a couple of photos, and there were orbs. Now, to be fair and honest, when you take photographs near, not to get into the paranormal part a bit here, but when you're out, and I've gone to haunted beaches. No matter what you have as a camera, anomalies are a greater factor to happen. The greater probability is going to be you're going to get anomalies. Sea, ocean, sand, and all that. So I'm not exactly sure if those orbs were anything, but whatever that was, it got our attention. Sometimes these stories are not easy, folks. I scare myself. So anyway, one night I get out of the tent, and I had to go run an errand in the morning. So I got up early, and I got up and It was dark. No moon, as far as I could tell, no stars, no nothing. And it was very, very scary. It was bizarre. I couldn't tell left from right, nothing. All my coordinates was off. I couldn't tell anything in this element that I stepped out into. And I wanted to go to the restroom, but I didn't want to use the restroom that I had used before. So there's another one off in the distance behind the tent. And I go walking up there, to go use the restroom. And I get there, and you're looking at another restroom and you're thinking, wow, man, please, no noises, no nothing. Just nothing, please, nothing at all. I get into the restroom, creepy as heck, quiet, nobody around. Do my business. Thankfully, nothing happens. But when I go to stick my hand in the sink, I look down and I see a pretty damn big scorpion looking up at me with its pinchers out and its tail up. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but okay, just get away from the sink. Go back to the tent if you can find it. And I did that. And so I get back to the tent and I tell the person I'm with, I was like, hey, I got to go run my errand now. So I got to get up and catch the first bus out of there. So my friend goes, okay, I understand. You need any company while you go out there? And, someone tell me you like company. I'm like, yeah, right on, But I also just wanted to kind of like more or less put everything into perspective. And I step out of the tent. My friend steps out of the tent. I have a flashlight with me now. And I just feel not so much that there was somebody there. Maybe that's why they put the shrine there. I'll get to my theory on that in a little bit. But just something was just not right. And then, of course, yeah, something is there. So I look to my right with the flashlight. And, I don't know why, but I've seen several of these type of I've seen several of these type of things. Spirits. You ever saw the movie The Ring? So what I saw several feet away from me was this tall girl, extraordinary long arms, impossibly long legs, fish belly white skin, practically glowing but not glowing. Her head is down. She's wearing a dress because of the measurements of her body that is ill-fitting. Her head is down and she has wet, long, black hair. I only saw her for a few seconds and then she just popped out of this world and went back to wherever she came from. And that's what was even more amazing is that I saw her. I absolutely saw her. No question. She was right there. Able to give you all these details years later. I didn't even know I would be sitting here talking with you folks. There was no YouTube back then. But here I am. And I remember every single last detail of that. Such is the power of encountering something that we are not supposed to see, in my opinion. Yeah, I was scared. But my friend, my roommate, my girlfriend told me that, oh, I told her about what happened. I was too scared to talk, man, but Boom, I was able to make my way to the bus stop and everything. Tree tunnel is there. All of that stuff is there at that place. Now there's this spirit that's there that if you look at her for too long, I'm sure you could lose your mind. But you see, my girlfriend at the time, she sees spirits all the time. She's seen them in various different appearances, from normal to wearing bloody clothing. I mean, just all kind of different. She's seen Hawaiian warriors. I got stories for you guys, man. You have no idea. So, but she tells me, she goes, "Oh no, she drowned out there. She died out there." And usually her head is not down like that because she's seen her before walking around. I don't ever want to see that. She's used to seeing it. I'm not. But here's the thing, guys, just to let you know. Just to let you know. On the island of Oahu and in various parts throughout the world, there is something called the White Lady phenomenon. Hi, nice to see you, Rosina. Thank you for joining Ghosts of Hawaii, telling ghost stories this evening. That phenomenon is very, very real, and it happens on this island as well. She's been seen all over the place. One of the most well known places, her home, is Makapu on this island. But she's also on this particular side of the island as well. There's a very famous ghost story about her. One day I'll probably tell it to you, but she did drown. She drowned and she died. She perished. When I first wrote this story, because back in the day, oh no, it's not Pele. And hi, good to see you. This isn't Pele. Not, not in any way, shape, or form is this Pele. Um, when I first wrote this story, it took a lot out of me. In the old days, I would get onto social media and I'd either go out and go ghosting, and I would write my story right there and then. Boom, what happened that night, and then I would collect these other stories and then I would write them out too. And it took a lot out of me to do the shrine. Took a lot out of me to say what I did to you, to write out all that stuff, and um, but I really do feel that shrine was put there for a reason. Now, it could have been one of two reasons. If it isn't the White Lady that haunts that area, maybe it's someone else that drowned. But I gotta tell you this much, guys. The clothing that this spirit was wearing was something from like 60, 80 years ago. That type of, white dress, ill-fitting, impossible long arms, impossible long legs, and the clothing was wet, her hair was wet, looked like she drowned. The beach was right there. But I kind of wonder about all of that. It's like either that, or was that shrine put there to stop something from doing any harm to people, or whatever the case may be? Because remember, when I started at the beginning of this story, I told you about the flashlights and everything and what was happening to that, right? So maybe the shrine was put there because people knew something was going on with that tree tunnel. Or was it for that girl that I saw, just standing there in the dark like that? I'm not sure. And sometimes, when it comes to ghost stories, in my perception on ghost stories, telling them and experiencing them, it's okay to want to know. It's all right. I mean, how many stories are there in the world today? How many stories are there in the world from when all of this began till now, right? How many of these stories are out there? And there's history behind these stories. Oh, Boogie, you going to bed? Good night, my friend. And everyone has a story. Yes, I believe that. We all have a story. You want an example of stories too? and I should do a show on haunted cemeteries, and I can give it under. I can give you an idea on how to tell if a cemetery is haunted and what type of haunting that takes place. I'll probably do a show on haunted cemeteries as well. But cemeteries are a place where their stories are there. You know, you walk through there and you see the those quiet moments of reflection that are going on with people there. I might do one about that as well. But I also believe that there's a fine line to all of that, and there's a line that we should never cross. And one of the problems with today in the paranormal is that people want to push too far and go too ahead, or they want to make a point, or they need something to draw attention to. And honestly, I think we need to be practical. We definitely need to be um, sane in what we do. Because I know this stuff can push you. I know it can. And one of the things too that I feel that we need to be careful of is, you know, just because you go out 50 or 100 times, whatever the case may be, and boom, nothing has happened to you yet, doesn't mean that it's not going to happen to you. And I know some people, in my encounters with other people working in the field, they're kind of like, well, you know, dude, why you gotta rain on this parade that we're all participating in? No, the rain comes whether or not I tell you something. And that's why stories like the shrine, you know, it really makes me pause, you know, because I don't want to know everything. I don't mind having ideas about why these places are haunted. I don't mind having the ideas in my head, but doesn't mean that I have to know every single damn thing, you know, because I think sometimes, but as much as we know, there's still a lot of things that we don't know. Pupuka, stuff like that, ancient spirits. You know, even the person that has seen the ancient spirits, he tells me the best we get is a glimpse and an idea. You know, none of us, man, to your eyes closed the last time and you know, make, pal, dead, you're gone from this world. Yeah, then you get the rest of it. And let's hope that when we get the rest of it, that we're in a better place than those situations that we talk about sometimes in the paranormal and such. But folks, that is my stories for tonight. That is my stories. And hopefully you enjoyed those stories as well. Originally, they were supposed to be because of the hurricane. Hurricane was supposed to be in the background, thunder and lightning and everything. And now I can take some of your comments. Aussie Tiger says, just after midday my time, I heard a horse snort, but the nearest horse was about 200 meters away from me, and Brent Thomas, Paranormal Portal, heard the same noise just before midday, Idaho time, same day. Interesting. And he's nowhere near agricultural places. He lives in the middle of town, and he heard it between his place and his neighbor's place. Great stories. Thank you, Zed. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're able to catch the stories as well. Um, Rosina, thank you for being here. And you're very welcome for the stories. Oh, Lady Nighthawk, thank you so much. And I hope you come by again. And I always say to people, and Zed, what do you say? Animals can have spirits too. Yeah, definitely. You can do a whole show on animals. If you're new to my channel, if you know people that like these type of experiences with live streams, interactions, I have guests on my shows as well. We go out to locations. I tell ghost stories. Please share with other people. If you don't mind, subscribe to the channel. And I'm being much more active than I was before. Sometimes I gotta, you know, in the past I found for myself, taking a break here and there is a good thing. You know, clear the path, clear your mind, clear everything, your heart, your spirit, and everything, and then come back. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do. And you guys are all super amazing too. I swear, I've done so many of these live streams, man, and people come on and they share the most amazing things. And I'm like, geez, this is just making it what it should be. You know, I mean, that's why it's called Ghosts of Hawaii. It's the people of Hawaii. It's the people of the world. Hawaii is a melting pot. Everyone converges and comes together. Carla, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Kimchi Squared, It's good to see you again. Your live streams make quarantine a lot better. Thank you for taking your time to tell us these stories. Kimchi, you're very welcome. I'm going to be doing other stories as well. Sometimes I got to take a break from the ones I know of, and then I have to go and say, okay, let's do some other stories. Let's do something else. Lena has been around for a long time. Lena, thank you for being here and your support. Oh, you are. Awesome. And that's the thing too about the people of Hawaii. Thank you for sharing that you are a descendant of Ali'i Nui, of a Kona Ali'i Nui. And that's what I love is just hearing what people have to share. Oh, okay. See what I mean? This is a place where people come together, and then the amazing stuff comes from you folks as well. You're a big part of this, a huge part. I facilitate something with my lonely lantern there, and a candle that I put there for tonight. Nothing fancy, nothing elaborate. Even when I go out, it's going straight into the moment and everything, and just keeping it in reality. I believe the story about the ancient troublemaking entity. I think I remember a story about Ali'i, the way he won Oahu, is because he and the chiefs there needed help to get rid of the ancient demons. You know what? That's kind of like what people talk about with like these ancient spirits that came before. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's in other cultures as well that there was always some type of entities that were around before other people came to their places and then started encountering them. I think there's even some stories like with the Native American culture and such about Bigfoot and everything that he's always been around for a long time too. So isn't it amazing how all these dots connect, huh? All these dots come together and just create such an incredible picture for all of us to take a look at and consider. Menahunis and leprechauns. I had my encounter with Menahuni. I have a picture somewhere. It could be a Menahuni or a Epa on Old Poly Drive. You'll always hear a lot about me going to Old Poly Drive because you want to see where ghosts are. You want to know where they're at. You want to know like the most profound areas. Um, that's Nu'uanu for our island. Nu'uanu is incredible. Yeah, and even Jubu, who's very, very knowledgeable as well. I was talking about the Aswang earlier, but that wasn't the Aswang. There's also a walk um, by the bridge near Lake Wilson as well, and in other parts of that area of the island too. Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. You caught me with that one. For some reason tonight, yeah, I got an iPhone. You're seeing the reflection. I think Carla was saying, is that a panda or something? That's my iPhone. Yeah. For some reason, it's picking it up tonight. But like I said, I keep it simple. Yeah, real, real simple. Nothing fancy about it. But a lot of more things are coming up, and that's why I ask for your help and your support and sharing this channel with other people. Um, as it grows, it allows me to do more things. So yeah, if anything, people that like this stuff, kind of like direct them this way. And ever since this pandemic came about, I've been doing a lot more live streaming, and I love sitting down and talking story with you folks. I love that part. I really do. I feel like I'm not missing out on anything else. I just continue to do this, and it's just, it really does have a lot of meaning to it. So, Ozzy, thank you for sharing, what you did. And again, just a rule of thumb, I may not be able to answer anything. I may not be able to answer anything um, when I'm talking or when I'm interviewing somebody. I may not be able to talk, but afterwards, like now, yeah, we just converse, we talk story. Zed says, this is good work, brother. Just like the old storytellers, passing down the old stories to the next generation. Yeah, that's what it was like when I was growing up. I once in a while I always share like my dad and his friends. They we would get together at his house after they were done fishing, and we'd sit around, talk story, daytime, eat up, have a good time, But when the sun goes down, mm-mm-mm-mm, everything changes, and all these stories would come out. And they would sit there and tell stories, and I would be afraid, and yet I was drawn to what they were talking about. I'd be kind of like huddled up, like, oh no, they're talking about ghosts again. But that's kind of like where it all came from. That's the Hawaiian belief as well as an oral history. It's not a written history. So I know a lot of locals, even though you're not Hawaiian, carry on that tradition of just telling stories. Oh, sure. I would love to have you as a guest. I'll tell you how you can contact me. Uh, um, Hold on one second. I'm hearing the occasional female voice in someone or something moving around. My roommate. That's my roommate. So this is how you contact me, and my social media contacts are out there as well. To contact me personally, if you'd like to share a story or you'd like to be on the show, all you need is Skype. Skype is so easy to get nowadays. It's an app that you just can put on your phone, your computer, any type of device, mobile device that you have or otherwise. Just get Skype, create an account, super easy. Put in your email and your password, super simple. Share it with me. You can either share your Skype contact on the comment section for my channel, or you can email me, and I'll give you my email. Zed says, you were talking about how supernatural Hawaii is before I remember one of Glenn Grant's stories where he hosted a pair of psychics. They said the moment they landed, they could feel it. Yes, I remember. A lot of great, as a matter of fact, Glenn Grant had the best stories. Yeah, it's okay, Ozzy. Yeah, I understand. It's no problem. He had the best stories. He is the best storyteller ever. I don't even come close to Glenn. Yes, I will. So contact me if you want to go by email. It is obakehunter51 at gmail.com, all lowercase, OBAKEHUN as in nickel, TER 51 at gmail.com. For those of you that are interested in my social media activity, which I don't mind doing, but I rather do YouTube strictly as this format, you can find me on Facebook, same name. I started off with that anyway, before I did the YouTube. Same name as my YouTube channel, Ghosts of Hawaii. Just look for that, put it into your search engine on Facebook. You'll find my group. Go over there and check that out if you like. I also have another second group. It's called 808 Most Haunted 2. You can join that as well if you like. You can also look for me on Instagram, ghosts underscore of underscore Hawaii. You can find me on there. I usually post the shows that I'm going to do. I make little flyers and stuff, and once in a while I put pictures and events and everything else. But if you really want to get some of these other experiences, what I'm doing now is these surprise live streams. I'll give you an idea. Hey, I'm going to come on, or I'll just tell people the show is coming up, but they don't know when. But the best thing to do is just become a member, subscribe, and you'll always get notifications when I do the surprise ones. Boom. And then I'll be out there talking with you folks like we did tonight. So, yeah, I would love to hear from any of you. You have a ghost story or anything else you'd like to share, you want to be a guest, excuse me, on Ghosts of Hawaii, please let me know. It's not a problem. I look forward to hearing from all of you. And we'll do this again sometime very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself as much as me sharing these stories with you. And I hope you have a very blessed day or evening whenever you're hearing this. Um, I'm really loving the live stream, guys. So I'll be doing more again. You might be surprised. I might even be doing one tomorrow. Who knows? But anyway, Ghosts of Hawaii, you're home for a dose of ghosts. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you folks again, too. You're home for a dose of ghosts and ghost stories that actually scare the person telling them. Ozzy, good night, my friend. Good night to all of you. Thank you so much for making this a wonderful, wonderful thing to do each and every time I come out here. Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Really, happy birthday. Can I call you Case? Happy birthday, Case. Happy birthday. You too. You too. You too. You have a great night. Oh, you guys take care and thank you for everything. Okay, I'll call you Case. I lived there all my life, but sometimes I can't pronounce it. Is it Koniko Kid? Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome, Sheila. Thank you for being here. Sheila is part of my Facebook, I believe. And so is Lena and Aristocat and Dave He. Thank you guys all. And you know what? Before I leave, thank you, Keokua. Thank you, Almighty God, for watching over the islands and steering this hurricane away from us. All praise, glory, and honor belong to you. And I am never ashamed to say I believe in Jesus. Good night, everyone. Take care. I will talk to you all again soon.